Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Let's go ahead and get this started. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, well, hopefully, there we go. Perfect. Welcome into the channel, y'all. This is ATX Crypto, and here we primarily talk about the Richard Hart ecosystem, talk about Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. However, if you're investing in crypto, then this is the video for you. So at this point in time, I wanted to go over some Hex staking strategies, okay? There are plenty of them out there. There's many different definitions of staking strategies that you can actually do with Hex as well. But taking a look from the beginning, what I wanted to do was actually look at a strategy called the Snowball ladder. For those of y'all who don't know how how Hex works, it actually has two different variables, okay? So when you stake your Hex, it depends on how long you stake it for, and also how much you initially first stake. When you stake Hex, you actually burn them from existence. You destroy them, and in return, you mint what's called shares. With these shares, you actually earn the interest daily from the Hex contract. That's how the basic idea of it works. And then once the stake ends, you then burn your shares, and in return, you're given the Hex that you've accrued during that staking length. Okay. So hopefully that's all pretty easy to understand. That's the very basic principle of Hex. But there are some good items to be aware of. One, how long you stake for does matter. Also, the other item, which is always fun. Let me just pull this up just a smidge here. There we go. Back that up. Hey, back the thing up. The other thing that matters again is what your risk tolerance is. Okay. So when it comes to staking in general, there are going to be different strategies. Okay. So when it comes to staking, there's many possibilities, like how long you want to go for, how much. Again, if you aren't even familiar with the idea of locking, you might want to start learning the basic idea of staking. Okay. So there's one strategy in particular called the Snowball. There's another strategy called the max length stake. There are definitely different staking ladders that are out there. But again, to make matters even more complicated, we have Pulse Chain launching soon. And with Pulse Chain, we're actually going to be getting a duplicate copy of all of our ERC20 tokens, which include Hex. Now, that also includes whether the Hex is staked or whether it's liquid. Okay. And it's going to actually duplicate all of that. So, just a heads up, just to give y'all the basic idea of that, it is very, very good. Be ready, but be mindful that we do have different strategies essentially on different networks, because with Ethereum, the gas fees are going to typically be a little bit more expensive. So you aren't able to freely stake as often as you may like. But in that scenario, you may want to go with a longer length strategy for staking. Okay. And this is just going to allow you to have different options. So the strategy that we're going to actually be discussing today is one that I don't really hear too many people talk about, but it's one that you can actually do for 1 year, and it'll have you covered for the next 15 years. Again, you heard that right. You will stake for a period of 1 year this method, and over that 1 year period, we're going to be setting ourselves up financially for the next 15 years going forward. And again, this can continue to snowball, as they say. into a different one. There's actually an Avalanche strategy, which I can discuss a little bit later, but essentially it's just going real big all the way in the very beginning and then just backtracking from that one. But in this case, since we're snowballing, we're actually going to be doing the opposite. We're going to be starting fairly small across the way and just keep it simple and essentially DCA into a staking ladder. So if y'all are ready to kick this off, let's go ahead and take a look over here at how this could all look and how it's all going to play out as well. So let me get over here and share this screen. Okay, there we go. Share screen too. Cool. Perfect. All right, y'all. So keeping it all pretty easy on this one. This is what a staking ladder will look like. Okay. It's pretty easy. It's going to include simple items such as how long you're going to be staking for, and it's just going to be a gradual growth. And the reason why is because the longer that this stake goes for, the longer the reward and interest that you'll accrue. And with that being said, this is compound interest. So as the length goes longer, you in return will earn more hex because of the length that you have it for. So you'll actually earn more. So these are all the same length of, or these are all the same amount of hex in each of these stakes, but what this does is actually show you what it does over the course of, in this case, 12 stakes. And we can see that because if we look over here, we have it broken down to start today with 1 million hex over 5,555 days, which is actually the max length you can go for on a stake in hex. This is ending date of the very first stake, so this wouldn't even end until 1 year from today, starting in August of 2023. And what I had said was I don't want a stake to end less than 1 year from this stake or from the previous stake. So this goes all the way out to 5,555 days, and it'll actually break it down, and I can say how many stakes I want to do that for over that period, and it'll actually break it down for me right here. So this will show on the very first one that the end date would be November 1st, 2037. That would be the 15.22 years or 5,555 days, as they say, Cuatro Cinco. This shows that it would be 83,000 hex per. Now, this is just a simple strategy. I just wanted to show you all kind of what the ladder looked like, okay? Going into this, we're actually going to be discussing what a stake is. We're going to be discussing what a ladder is. We're going to take a look at how staking for 1 year can set you up for 15 years, or we can actually do a one-time yearly DCA for 15 years and do a snowball strategy that way. We'll look at both. And again, kind of the advantages, disadvantages of both of them, and maybe even how to set this up just to kind of fit what you're looking for in your staking method. Okay. So keeping this all pretty easy, let me take a look at the very first one. So again, this website that we're using is in the description as well, but it's going to be hexladder.web.app, and it just kind of gives you a basic idea of how the whole hex would work. So I'm not really going to be going into this one today because there's another website that is phenomenal when it comes to actually breaking down stakes. Okay. And that website is stakehex.today. Now, there's two different ones. This is actually a copy of a hex staking ladder as well. It's a spreadsheet that is included within the. Why am I like talking like this? I know y'all can hear me. That was silly. But this is actually in the description as well. It just allows you to kind of, if you're more of a person who likes to kind of figure this stuff out yourself, play around with some of the numbers. What this is going to do for us over here, actually pull this up. What it'll do, oh, I wonder, I can't zoom in on this website. Interesting. Okay. Oh, there it goes. What? My apology, y'all. Cool. So this will actually show what we're looking at in terms of the 15-year staking strategy, okay? So right now, this is gonna be the staking size, and again, I wanna go with essentially what is $100. So we can actually look at this website right here, which is hexdailystats.com. And the cool thing about this site is it'll actually break down all of the information for us here. It'll tell us what the current hex price is, what the T-share price is in terms of US dollars, what the current T-share rate is, and by the way, this is always going to continue to go up, and whoop, up and to the right, and it'll never actually go down. That's how the whole contract is just built. This is determining our payout per T-share. Once we get into this a little bit later, this is going to be kind of a big factor in all of the numbers that we discuss, the penalties that we had for today, and possibly even just the liquidity. So this website is very, very easy to see, very easy to use. But with that said, I can actually break down these same numbers here and say, okay, the price of Hex today is 0.05. Whoops. Yeah, the price, well, it's going to do it based on that. So the price of Hex today was 0.05659. All good there. And again, this just says how much do I want it to increase every year? So by the end of this year, it's saying if it was to only go up by 25%, this is going to be the end of the year price. Again, I'll zoom in on this as well, just so that way y'all can actually see. This website doesn't let me just click in. Interesting. So this is actually allowing us to see the end of year price, assuming just a 25% increase every year over 15 years. And I don't see that being the case. We see 25% increases within a day. So I don't think that would be the necessarily the case. Now, again, we already looked at the T share price as well, or the share rate, which again, back on Hex daily stats, T share daily rate or T share rate is 23,191. So 191. And breaking this down, let's just increase this up as well. So we're just going to say 70% a year. It's still kind of being very generous in these numbers and figures, but I just want to kind of give you all an idea of how it all works. And so currently at today's price of 0.059, what would that be for $100? What would that get us? So at 100 divided by 0.059, we get a 16,094 hex. Okay. And we're going to divide that by 15 years. And that's 112, just to kind of give you an idea of where these numbers are going to come from. But we're going to paste these in here. Okay. So at the end, that's 1,680. That's all pretty simple. That's all pretty easy. This is actually how much we originally had, the initial value that we had at the time that the hex was. And this is saying if we did nothing besides just stake this one time, 112 hex for 15 years, at the end of the whole 15-year cycle, so at the end of the first stake, you would just end it and not restake. At the end of the second year, you would end it and not restake. And as this keeps progressing, at the end of the final, you would end up with $204,000. Okay? Let me say that again. Just with a $100 investment at a 70% increase per year, which is again pretty conservative when it comes to crypto, that would put you at 203,000 or 204,000 off that entire investment if you were to just end that stake and not even restake, which most people are actually going to be doing in a lot of scenarios because they see the returns and they know it makes sense. Okay. So let's see here. So what I want to do is actually look into a little bit more of a snowball strategy. In which case, we're actually going to be looking at what would it be if we did 100 stakes, okay? Now, I know that may seem like a lot, but we're gonna break this up over the course of 1 year. So I just want y'all to kinda be prepared. It's pretty easy to do, but it's a way to actually just ensure that you're gonna cover yourself for the next 15 years doing this strategy, okay? Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So, let's go ahead and do this. Again, let's pull this up. If y'all don't know what the Ethereum gas fees, they've gone down recently, but they used to just be like a stupid high price. And so it wouldn't make sense for you to do a lot of staking ladders because the gas fees for every single stake has to be paid. So on the Ethereum network, if you're not working with a lot of money, it may not make sense to go ahead and do 15 stakes every single time because again, the way this works is actually uh, um, by staking every single time each year. Okay, give me 1 second here. Now, obviously, before we begin and go over all the numbers, I have to warn y'all that none of this is financial advice. Do your own research. These are the numbers that I'm able to come up with, and these are some figures that others in the community have also been able to see and gain. So again, remember, if you go crypto right, it could be the best thing to ever financially happen to you. So take this into heart whenever you look at this, because this is something that we do want to start spending some more time looking into. Okay. Um, it just makes sense. So you have different strategies when it comes to staking ladders. You have a shorter strategy, which is basically the 1 to 5 year strategy. And in that scenario, we're just going to be, those are for people who may not be as comfortable or as familiar with how the product works, where it works, and everything there. You also have a medium length, which you start getting in that 6 to 10 year range. Okay. When you start getting into that 10-year range, that's again pushing that little threshold into saying, I believe in this. Again, 10 years, even 6 years is quite a bit of time. And by the way, the average staking length in Hex for the entire 100,000 stakers is currently 6.9 years. Okay. So that is the average length of every single stake for the 100,000 stakers that are currently in the Hex community, sitting at almost 7 years is the average, okay? So this medium term is, again, an average at this point in time. Also a median. Funny. The other one is gonna be the long-term thinkers. These are for people who truly believe in how this product works. They believe in the long-term investment. They know compound interest is by far the single greatest factor, and, there's a reason why we were blessed to be able to stumble upon this. It's a first certificate of deposit on the blockchain is essentially what this is. And if you're familiar with CDs and how they work, then you'll kind of understand this in a crypto mindset as well. So again, this allows you to own your keys. This allows you to own your own crypto, and you're in control of everything that happens with this account. No one else can actually stake. No one else can end your stake besides you. So the only person at the end of the day who can be to blame should anything happen is yourself. Now, the way the hex stake length works is you have to commit at least 50% of the time in order to get back the principal investment. So, just for ease of numbers, if you did 10,000 hex and you did it for 1 year, well, if you do not at least go to the 6 month mark and reach the 50% portion, you will not receive you'll start earning less principal. It's a prorated amount. And then the longer you go, you start earning that interest as well. So keep in mind, you definitely want to be mindful about how long you're staking for. This isn't like a normal crypto stake where you can just get into the product and then whenever you decide you want to get out, so you do a 15-year stake for the maximum APY, and then at the end of the day, you try to pull out 5 days later, you're going to nuke that balance and there won't be any money left. So this is a product that you definitely wanna look into and not just go willy-nilly with this staking strategy. This is something that you wanna understand why it's beneficial for you, and again, how it can help you financially with not only your peace of mind, but also your family's financial and your financial future as well. So, guys, let's get started, okay? What we're gonna do on this one is we're actually gonna say, "I only have $100 to start with," okay? Now, today, that would give us roughly 1,700 hex, like we just did the math on just a moment ago. And I wanna do this for 100 stakes, which in this scenario is gonna be the max number of stakes you can do for this website. The way this whole strategy can play out is you can actually do a lot more stakes than 100, and I'll explain that here in a second as well. But this is gonna be putting it at a max of 5,555 days. So again, this has a $100 value with 100 stakes over 5,555 days. Now, guys, this is showing you how many shares you'll be given for the $100 worth of hex or the 1,700 worth of hex, and for staking that amount of time. In this case, it's gonna be 173 B shares. We'll be receiving a little bit of a bonus. Let's take a look here what this actually looks like, okay? So with this website, it actually allows us to pull up oops, estimate there we go. Oh, there it goes, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So, guys, this is giving you a basic idea of what we're looking at. So, in regards to how this website works, it has a map calendar down here of the years. This is also showing going forward the average payout per hex. So right now it's about 6.2 hex per T-share that you have. And then again, as we go forward in the future, we're anticipating that the share rate is going to continue to increase as it already has done in the past. And even in the future, we're anticipating it to go so high as to where it'll be getting possibly 15.5 hex per T-share that you own. Now, one thing that we wanna see here as well is checking out the price. So, guys, where do you find that the price is gonna fall? This is a big scenario and how this is all gonna play out, okay? But it's all pretty easy as well. So, if I believe that in at the end of 2023, okay, so come toward 2024, I think the price is probably gonna be about $1.75, and I think it's probably gonna be higher, but we're gonna be conservative here and just say closer to the 2024, we're thinking it's going to be about $1.76. Okay. However, by 2027, I do anticipate Hex to probably be in the ballpark of at least $35. I don't think we're getting too crazy here. Now, this is showing without restaking, without doing anything else, for the 100 shares that we have, it would actually be giving us 173 B shares. It would provide us with the, projected US dollar amount of 288,175. That's without purchasing any additional hex. That's without restaking any of the stakes that you've done. That's without doing anything besides simply just holding on to it for the time that you said you were gonna hold on to it for. Okay, that's pretty simple. It shows you all right here. So this is doing essentially a $7 stake every single time over the course of that time. Now, how to do multiple stakes? There's actually an easy way to do it. It's actually the Staker app. It'll actually allow you to do multiple stakes within one transaction. So what you can do is actually set up the ability to not only start with $100, okay, but from the $100 go and actually say do a 15-year stake with this $100. It'll then separate the 100 stakes. I'm sorry, my apology. It'll then separate the $100 into the 15 stakes. Now, guys, what if you do this once a month? Okay. So every month, at the beginning of the month, we go. Let me pull this up here. Every month at the beginning of the month, you're just gonna stake $100. Create. Well, give me the ability. Oh, here it is. Cool, cool, cool. Well, let's create. Come on with the jam. All right, so I'm gonna pull this up here because I'm actually wanting to do some fun math. I actually find this to be, again, just fascinating how this can all work as well. Hi, baby. What? Probably upstairs. I don't know. Wife just woke up from a late nap. Bit of a daze. All right, so let's take a look here, y'all. So let's just pull this up. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, I don't like it. Can we go a little thicker? Oh, it's like a highlighter. What is this? Laser? Oh, I don't want a laser. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Well, let's just do this then, because I don't even know if I necessarily like that. Can I use this instead? Okay, cool. So let's do this, y'all. Go into the staking ladder and say, if I was to do this, what if I ended up doing things just a little differently, okay? Let's change the color so we can see it a little easier here. How's that look? Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. So, if every single time at the beginning of the month we took $100, and we had the ability to do 15 stakes, okay? So that is setting up one stake every year for 15 years, or going out to the 5-5-5-5 Quattro Cinco realm. Well, that's not writing very well. You'll get the idea. Okay, now what if we did that 12 times? Okay, so every single month, this is January. Okay, so this is January. Then February, we do the same thing. March, same thing. And then what if we continue? Goodness gracious, this is not writing. I might need a little drawing board, right? We're gonna need to figure that out. Is there a better drawing board that works better? 'Cause I don't like the way this looks. Okay, maybe I'm just being picky, y'all. I don't know. Who knows? Cool, cool, cool. So every single time, if we were to do that, every single time for 15 years, at the end of it, you would end up doing $1,200 worth of stakes. Okay, and all that is 100 times 12 for the full year. So that's $1,200 at the end of 1 year. But during that time, guess what? You've done a 15-year stake here, a 15-year stake here, a 15-year stake here, and you've continued to do that for 12 months. So what happens come January 2024? Wow, that definitely looks like January. Come January 2024, well, you just had one stake in. And again, guys, this doesn't really do it justice for what I'm trying to explain here, and I'll definitely get this figured out on a different board and set up just to keep it simple. But I want y'all to understand that if you have, and this is such an easy thing to do, y'all. Seriously, all we're doing is taking $100, okay, and we're doing that 12 months. So if you don't have $100, you can find $100. Everyone can find $100. You can go sell a couple video games. You can go do a couple lawn mows. I don't really care what you do, but you can find $100 a month. Cancel your Netflix. Don't really care what it is, but you can find your $100 a month. Promise. Because during this time, not only have you set up the ability to actually go with a 15-year stake, we actually are giving ourselves also the ability, and I'll show you here, to cover ourselves for the next however long we need to, okay? So let me show you here because this is incredible. Boom, boom. This is a yearly snowball strategy and what it looks like. So every single time 1 year passes, you're gonna go and do $100 stake, okay? And you're gonna do this you're gonna do a $100 stake, and you're gonna set it up to do 15 stakes once a year. Let me say that again. You're gonna do a $100 stake, split it up over 15 stakes one time at the very beginning of the year. We're gonna do this for 15 years. Now, this is one way to do it. This is a yearly snowball strategy, and this will perpetually pay you going forward every single time for the next forever. What I'm saying is we're actually going to be getting even further into this and not only doing this once a year, we're going to do this one time. We're going to do this for 1 year, 12 times, but it's going to cover us for the next 15 years. So what mine looks like, just to kind of break this down, is this, and again, I don't have a chart for it, but the way this is going to look is it's going to say down here, there's going to be January, February, March, April, right, all the way through, okay? And this is just one calendar year every time. So at the beginning of every month, you can set a reminder for yourself to stake however much you want to. In this case, we're going to say $100. I want to stake $100 once a month for 15 years. We're going to do this 12 times. Okay. Now, if y'all aren't understanding what I'm saying, I understand. This can be a little bit confusing, and I'm sure I'm not the best overall explainer in this, but I want y'all to understand that we take control of our own finances when you do this. So not only can going back and listening to this a couple of times if you need to understand this a little better, and I'll try to say it a different way just to help explain it a little better. But understanding how this works can cover you financially in the future going forward. So it's definitely worth your time to just take some time and definitely, like I said, learn what we're actually working with. Okay. So let's look here. If I had this set up January, February, March, April, and I did it for 1 year, okay? So at the end of it, that would be $1,200. That's it. I've now covered myself for the next 15 years with that $1,200. So what I'm doing is I'm using the Staker app, okay, and I'm doing a one stake split over 15 years, and I'm probably saying this backwards, which is a little confusing, so I get it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my initial investment of whatever it is, in this case, we'll say $100, and I'm taking that and I'm dividing it over 15 stakes. Now, with the Staker app, it'll actually do it for you within the system. So if you already have a Staker wallet, you can actually easily do this. And if you don't, I advise going to Staker app or Staker.app. I do have a link in the description as well, but it is Staker.app, and definitely check them out. They're going to be on the Apple Play Store, on the Apple Store, and on the Google Play Store. I believe on Play Store they're free, if I'm not mistaken. On the App Store, there is a $10 fee. But either way, it's well worth it because this allows you to actually have full control of your crypto, and it's built within the Gnosis safe. But they also have the really cool feature of the stake option. So what I'm doing is, again, I'm taking the $100 in this scenario, and I'm breaking it over a 15-year stake for that $100 amount. Then I'm going to do this at the beginning of every single month. So what that means is January is covered at the beginning when I do this with the $100 for 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 20, so on and so forth. Okay. And then February, we're going to do the same thing. And I'm going to say, hey, I want to take that same investment that I said and average in another $100. And I want to do that multi-year stake. So that's actually going to be giving us, yeah, exactly. That's actually going to be giving us the ability to have February covered now for 2023, 2024, 2025, so on and so forth. Okay, y'all are kind of seeing what I'm saying at this point in time. I think maybe this is a better way to explain it. But then come March, we're going to do the same thing. Every single month at the beginning of the month, we're going to take that $100, we're going to split it up over 15 years. So at the end of that 12-month period, y'all, you have to understand we're covered every single month for the next 15 years. So in 1 year, in 1 year's time, we can cover ourselves for 15 years to be paid out monthly and earn ourselves a monthly fee. Wow, wow, that's a snowball strategy if I've ever seen, guys. 1 year can cover you for 15 years. That's without doing anything crazy. If you want to get crazy, get crazy. Because this is when the fun begins. J-Man came in here right here, said he's excited for Pulse Chain. I am so excited for Pulse Chain. Whenever Pulse Chain launches, this is going to be the strategy that you can actually implement a lot easier without even using a staker app, because with Pulse Chain, the fees are going to be so cheap that if you want to do a daily stake, if you want to do a weekly stake, if you want to do a monthly, yearly, quarterly, you can do whatever you want on the Pulse Chain network. On the Ethereum network, you have to be a little bit smarter because the fees can eat you up, and the fees can be a pain in the arse if we know what we're saying. So I'm excited for Pulse Chain because it's going to allow us the ability to fully customize our entire stake portfolio. Because with Ethereum, we're limited. I know I've kept myself, or maybe I've gone longer just because the Ethereum fees right now and at some point can just be ludicrous, as high as $100 a fee, or I've seen as high as $2,000 a fee, which is, again, that's stupid. There's no need for a transaction to ever cost that much. So if you're only doing $100 stake, but it costs you $50 to actually transact that, or maybe it costs you $70, again, you have to make up so much of that right from the jump just to get back the money. With staking Hex, you're going to get that done. It's just a matter of it's a pain in the ass. I'd rather you not lose that on the money like that. But with the staker app, it actually allows you the ability to do multiple stakes all at once without getting too crazy. So we can cover ourselves for literally for the next 15 years by doing this 1 year strategy. So guys, I think that does the basic idea of what we're looking at here, okay? So what if I did that, and what if instead over the $100 to 1,200, again, now we're covered for every single year, 23, 24, right, 25, going forward all the way up until, what is it, 37, 15 years from today? So that's wild. That's incredible. This is a simple strategy to allow you to, again, pay yourself monthly for 15 years. If I told you if you could work 1 year and after that 1 year you would be able to have yourself paid for the next 15 years, you wouldn't have to do anything different. You would have to do anything. You'd probably end up saying, yeah, like, dude, so I'd freaking work a year, you know? If you're telling me I can work 1 year and never have to technically work again in this scenario, work again, and I'm paid for the next 15 years, like, sign me up for that, you know? So let's do this, guys, because I need you to understand how this works, though, right? So if I did 12 stakes over 15 years, that would be 180 stakes. So with this website, I can only do a max of 100 stakes. So imagine that the numbers that I'm currently working with are probably going to be a little bit different, but they all play out to be the same. So I'm going to say, guys, with $100, okay, over the course of the 5-year period, and again, this is going to be going back to my initial estimation here. If we assume crypto normally does, we'll even say the 200% on this one increase every year. That's nothing too crazy. 200 apparently is too crazy. Cool. So there we go. So if we assume that the price of Hex in 15 years is probably in the ballpark of about 250 bucks, we'll say, right? And again, I can't quite get all the way out on this one, so I'm just gonna kind of go a little bit higher on this one. But oh, there we go, 250. Oh, is it going all the way over here? 250. Cool. So guys, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. So what this is saying over the course of 15 years, that 100 stake, which would only be 173 B shares, could be projected at $1.8 million. Again, this is being conservative, guys. This is all being very conservative with these numbers here because you have to understand how the whole Hex contract actually works and how it will all benefit and how the whole T-share system works. So as T-shares become less and less available because the T-share price continues to increase every single day that passes, the amount that we're going to be getting paid out in Hex per T-share is going to continue to increase, which is why if you see the way it works, this is the payout per T-share right here. And in the beginning, it was a pretty flat 5, 5.5, 5, 5.5. Now it's at an average of about 6, and it's been that way for about the last 8 months, I want to say. And we can always look at Hex Daily Stats, and it'll have all of that information here for us. So we can actually look at the Hex payout per T-share on this website, and it'll give us all the information that we're looking for. They have everything going back to the very first day of Hex. And there's been days where the payout per T-share, y'all, has been ludicrously high. There was one day where we actually got 24 Hex per T-share. Now, the way that works is when someone doesn't commit to or doesn't keep their word. If they say, hey, I'm going to stake for 15 years, and yet they only end up staking for 5, well, they're going to be given a penalty, and that penalty is then dispersed to the other stakers in the community or the other staker class. And that is how this increase in T-share can happen. And so we can see, the payout, the increase in the payout per T-share can happen. So if you were staked that day, you were given for every share that you had, every T-share that you had, you were given 24 Hex just for being staked that one day for every T-share that you have. So this is something that's going to continue to increase and it's going to continue to happen. So just kind of get ready for how it all works because it's something that we've been discussing in the whole Hex community since the very beginning. And now that we're actually able to see how it all plays out, because now we have real figures, we have statistical information that we can look at and visualize, and there's nothing else in the whole crypto universe that allows you to see this much detail and how much was put in by every other member of the Hex community to be building these projects. This isn't even built by the Hex creator, Richard Hart. Hex Daily Stats is built by a member of the community, but it's beautiful and it helps out and it has phenomenal information in here. So that's the strategy to essentially get yourself paid for the next 15 years by doing a 1 year plan. Okay, so after 1 year, we've now covered ourselves for the next 15 years to be paid out monthly. Yeah, sign me up for that. So the other thing that you can do with this, guys, and again, there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages to doing this. The advantage to doing this is y'all heard it here just a moment ago. We have the ability to actually get paid out for the next 15 years monthly. Like that's beautiful. The other advantage is that we're actually able to control how frequently we get money. In this case, we're probably going to be collecting the stakes a little bit more frequently because they just appear more often instead of just doing big long stakes and letting them earn the most amount of possible potential. We're giving ourselves the ability to have the short term plan while also being able to take advantage of the long term play as well. Now, the disadvantages to doing something like this is again, you aren't going to be earning the maximum amount of shares that you could possibly earn. That's the downside in this scenario. Because if you did just one big 1200, like if you saved the one big one and just sent it out to 15 years, you're probably going to be given more T shares in that scenario. But you wouldn't be able to collect that money until the 15-year mark is up. Nova. So, so yeah, keeping that in mind, guys. There are some benefits, there are some disadvantages, obviously, to everything, and y'all are gonna have to see how it plays out and what's the most beneficial for you. You don't necessarily have to do once a month. You don't have to go that route. Maybe you can do once a quarter, so that way you cover yourself during the busy season. What I like to say is this strategy is for the seasonal strategy, okay? So there's some big presents that typically come around Christmas and also some bigger presents that can come around birthdays and anniversaries. So what you can do is actually plan out to be covered for at least 3 months out of the year. So during those 3 months, we'll say July, August, and September. During those months, you stake the initial amount once for 15 years in July. You stake once for 15 years in August, and then you stake the one time and for 15 years in September. So again, you're covered 2023, 2024, 2025, all the way forward in July, August, and September. And so at least you're covered for the big holidays that can start coming up, planning for, October with Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So start planning to how that could work because there's different strategies that we can actually all play out. And I'm always curious to know who in the community is kind of working on what strategy. This strategy was kind of figured out initially by Crypto Fitness whenever I first started uh, seeing some of this information. But now that I've actually gone and taken a deeper dive into what this can look like overall, it's absolutely incredible what you can actually do, how easy it is that we can cover ourselves for, again, the next 15 years, guys. We do this one time. If you do this one time, we're covered. 15 years. Boom. That's it. And again, we could get even crazier if you'd like as well. We could do this for quarterly. We can do this once a year. You also a moment ago where you can do the yearly one. So that's kind of how you can custom tailor some of these as well, because it doesn't necessarily have to be the DCA once a month to cover yourself, so you're paid every month for 15 years. Maybe you just want to have it so Christmas is covered every year. So in that scenario, maybe you have it set up so a stake ends in October, because again, you want to have time for the money to be moved over. You want to have time to kind of plan for the market to also probably take a little bit of a dump. People like to sell around that holiday time frame. Again, this is not financial advice, but if you set it up to do once a year, a stake in October, you would cover yourself. If you did 15 years one time, you would cover yourself every single time in the year. So at the end of it, and Christmas comes around, if Hex has done well, it's accrued some interest, you want to pull out the money, restake it, do what you have to in that scenario. It just depends on really kind of like, again, what you're looking for and how you're trying to almost take advantage and benefit to your scenario and what's going to work best for you. That's a little bit of the strategies that I wanted to go over with y'all today. I know that was plenty to go over, and again, for those of y'all who have stuck around already this far, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, if y'all are checking this out later, do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the subscribe if you're enjoying this content. Again, I do want to come up with some more staking strategies. Whenever the Pulse chain launches, there's going to be a lot of strategies to actually be discussed in that scenario as well, because then things just change so fast. We're given the ability for so many more options. We definitely want to try to take advantage of everything that we can. So overall, guys, there's a lot to start planning. But I know, like, I mean, heck, we're just got a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, right? That's the good old saying. Just a couple more weeks. I think we're a couple more weeks away now. A couple more weeks, but we're getting close. We're getting very, very close. We can all feel it in the air, I feel like. Richard Hart said something the other day. His time predictions have always been wrong. And so he said that it was a few months out, and I don't know if he said that on purpose because it is a few months out or a couple months, but maybe he was saying it's just coming out sooner because everyone got so mad at him for saying the mid-May launch. So now he's probably saying something wrong, and we may be looking at a launch here soon. Maybe that's just the opium in me talking. I don't really know. I'm not really sure in that scenario because, again, there's a lot going on overall. But guys, I appreciate y'all checking out this video. I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, let me zoom out just a little bit here. Cool. Well, guys, remember, we all win together. If we get crypto right, it could be the best thing that ever financially happened to you, just as it's been for me and many others. If you're looking for more information about investing in general, be sure to subscribe for future content. And heck, if you made it this far into the content, then drop a comment down below, leave a heart, let me know that you're enjoying the content. If you have some more information, or if you like the strategies, or if you have your own strategy, let me know what y'all are doing in terms of the staking as well. Remember, this is not financial advice. Stay safe. Talk to y'all soon.